Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. My name is Sebastian RAIBLE. I represent APELL. We're the European Open Source Software Business Association, and we represent a number of members that you can see here on the screen. So we represent the national business associations in about 10 countries right now. Some countries are still joining us as well. We're building new associations, and we invite you all to join us if you're interested. In France, for example, we're represented by CNLL. Stefan is right here. In Germany, it would be the Open Source Business Alliance, and one of our latest members is CH Open in Switzerland as well. So we're not even limited only to the EU countries, but we're open for European countries and representations as a whole. So in the beginning of the year, the Commission published the my notes, come on. The public consultation on open digital ecosystems. And they quite openly endorsed open source as a part of a strategic approach to increasing technological sovereignty. So outlets picked it up quickly, and that led to more than 1,600 submissions by the 3rd of February. So they announced the tech sovereignty package to be published quite soon, and it was announced that it would consist of the four major parts here, the strategic roadmap for digitalization and AI and energy, but also in particular the Open Digital Ecosystems Communication, the CHIPS Act 2.0 and the Cloud and AI Development Act. So responsible for all of these is Commission Vice President Henna Virkkunen, and the Commission announced that it would be published on the 25th of March. I submitted my talk on the 19th of February. In March, they said it would be April. In April, they said it would be May, and in May, they said that it would be on the 3rd of June, so that's tomorrow. So unfortunately, I can't talk about the proposal today. No, but fortunately there was a leak, or sometimes there are floats of the documents, so I did have a look, and please be aware that the text will still change. It will remain different in the details, or it will be different in the details, but we have a rough idea of where the Commission might be going. So here's what we know so far. The communication opens with the words, "The European Union stands at a defining moment to assert its technological sovereignty and reclaim its place in the global race for geo-economic power." And speaking about dependencies on non-EU cloud and software and services, it says, "What was once an efficiency-driven global interdependence and trade-fueled growth is turning into a landscape where asymmetric dependencies translate into geopolitical vulnerabilities." So this wording, again, it's unusually strong, and I'm really looking to see whether this will make it until the final text tomorrow. But it seems clear to the Commission how dependent we are on digital products and services from outside of the EU. So from that, the Commission concludes, this calls for an accelerated shift in the EU's posture from a reactive focus on resilience and risk mitigation to an assertive and proactive strategy grounded in technological sovereignty. The Commission has recently been rather hesitant, actually. It's in particular with regard to the US big tech and the regulations that we have in place. They have not been so assertive and proactive as they say here, so maybe there is a change awaiting us. So it all culminates in an ecosystem approach to tech sovereignty, and with that they mean well, first of all, that they want to counter dependencies, that they want to boost our European own capacity, and that they want to gain control over infrastructure and critical data. And to do that, next to the 4 new instruments on the left that have been proposed, they build on 4 existing instruments, and actually also the DSA, the Digital Services Act, the Digital Markets Act. Don't forget about data protection, that as well. And there are even more laws that are involved in making this ecosystem approach a whole. There's the Cybersecurity Act proposal that's currently being discussed. It builds on part of the Data Act, and there are more and more and more laws that this builds on. So it's quite the complicated thing. So I was a bit struggling trying to explain this in 20 minutes. But good to hear that the Commission is doubling down actually on highlighting the importance of data protection, because with the digital omnibus that the Commission has recently brought forward, it is actually taking a different approach. And we have warned the Commission that with the proposal that they've made, they actually risk lowering data protection standards in Europe. And that is at the same time as data transfers to the US are one of the main motivators for digital sovereignty in the first place. We cannot be sure that our data are stored in a trustworthy environment in the US. So that is one of the things that motivates digital sovereignty. And also it is one of the key features that European companies and products and services differentiate from those products of the hyperscalers, that we have better data protection. So can you tell the difference? They're the same picture. So to talk about the two legislative proposals, the first one, I'll be quick on this one, is called the CHIPS Act 2.0. It builds on the 2023 CHIPS Act, but is separate from that. And the 2023 CHIPS Act was a reaction to the semiconductor crisis in the 2020s. It encouraged chip production in the EU, research and innovation, and there is even a supply chain monitoring and emergency intervention possibility if chips would not be readily available. So the CHIPS Act 2.0 is supposed to take the other side of that medal and supposed to create demand, in particular by encouraging car manufacturers, healthcare providers, and medical device producers, as well as energy and also some consumer goods, to use more semiconductors. And for that, there are also plans to create a state-of-the-art semiconductor factory in Belgium that are currently being discussed. Excuse me. The main law that has been announced, I think it was in March last year already, is the Cloud and AI Development Act. And that, for short, CAIDA, wants to boost creation of data centers, particularly for trustworthy AI, and wants to encourage public administrations, but also the private sector, to move their sensitive workloads into trustworthy capacities, trustworthy European capacities, that is. It makes use of, I said Data Act before, some of the cloud switching rights were introduced by the Data Act, so it builds on that. It has 4 levels of sovereignty, and together with the risk assessment from the Cybersecurity Act and the sovereignty risk assessments that the member states will have to conduct according to the published document, it is supposed to effectively limit the role of high-risk vendors in critical digital infrastructure. Take a note of that word critical, we'll come to it later. And also it says to end sovereignty washing. So the Commission is really picking up on these issues that we have in the market and the issues that the big producers are creating, and that is really quite direct. Critical, pay attention to that later. So the long-awaited open source strategy, the Commission has always had since 26 years ago. 2000 was the first discussion around creating an open source strategy within the Commission, and the last one ran until 2023. It was renewed periodically, so this one is the newest iteration and is no longer called open source strategy. It is now the Open Digital Ecosystem Strategy. And it is part of the tech sovereignty communication. So I'm not sure if this is an upgrade because it is now part of a communication, or if we are supposed to see it as a downgrade because it's no longer a standalone measure. But let's see how it's implemented. I believe the Commission, when it says it understood that open source is an important lever for digital sovereignty, or tech sovereignty as the Commission calls it, Yeah, so it can, I don't understand my notes, it can have a positive impact on European competitiveness as well to be using open source. So most of the measures in there are familiar, so I'm not going into them. I don't need to highlight them, maybe save for the Commission's commitment to increase the number of users on its own Mastodon instance, which I can recommend. It's ec.socialnetwork.europa.eu. So not easy to write the usernames if you're writing a message to them, but everybody is there, and they're trying to increase the users in there. I think that is actually quite admirable, a commitment. The Commission also wants to, and Pierre-Yves said this in the opening keynote, the fact that open source projects are encouraged to get more commercial and to be on the market. The Commission also wants to incentivize that, so it is building what they call open source business accelerators to provide mentorship and consulting. So something that OW2 and APELL already provide to projects funded under the NGI Zero Commons Fund is something that the Commission is picking up now and trying to encourage open source projects to get commercial. They see a important role for foundations to be established in Europe and see them as important open source stewards as well. And then there is a new envisioned open source maintenance instrument with the license to fork. Dun, 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 dun. So then finally, there is support for what they call strategic contingency program with mirroring capability for both code and binaries. So all of this, quite positive so far. Let's see how it's implemented in the end. And that is really what we need to do tomorrow. Check what is actually coming out and see what promises they keep from the leaks that we have seen last week. It's supposed to be published tomorrow. The commissioner is expected in Parliament in a hearing in the Industry and Research and Energy Committee in the afternoon. So I think particular attention we should give to how, well, first of all, I think I can be carefully positive after what we know so far. But the Commission says that CADA will introduce an open source first principle in public cloud and AI software procurement. Open source first principle in public cloud and AI software procurement. I'm not sure what that means with regard to public, what cloud and AI software is. The wording is not entirely clear to me, so I'm being careful. Secondly, the Commission, and I said this word before, says critical a lot, critical services, critical sectors, critical data. So the question will be, how and in how far the measures in the proposed package will apply generally or will only apply to sensitive infrastructure, sensitive data, and so forth. So watch out for that. Then it's really unclear to me if the CHIPS Act 2.0 can really stimulate the demand like the Commission expects it. And that demand at the same time is something that they need in their overall concept to finance some of the measures that they are proposing. So that will be important to watch out for. And whether Europe can indeed create chip fabs that we don't have at that scale or at that capacity. And whether that can then in turn keep up with international competition, that's obviously the question, but I guess you have to start somewhere. And finally, whether and what exceptions there might be to the open source first principle and others, that there seems to be a discretion for member states in implementing this, so it might not go beyond a preference for open source, and that's something that we already had. So it's all a matter of the details and the legislative proposals that we will see tomorrow. Now, if you permit a slight detour, in the context of laws like the Digital Services Act and the GDPR, the Commission says that they provide fundamental rights protections. And there's one citation that I wanted to share with you where they say these values are embedded in the EU digital legislations, the value of protecting fundamental rights, underpinned by evidence-based assessment adopted by the EU democratically elected institutions. So this is the EU sticking up for itself, because in particular, the DSA and DMA have led to attacks from, in particular, the US. And this is only days after the revelation that Microsoft has given names of public servants in the Netherlands to the US administration. And also, we know that the US administration is targeting individuals that speak up against discrimination and hate online and dare to use their freedom of speech. So they have been sanctioned. So you see here Josephine Ballon and Annalena von Hodenberg. They are the leaders of the NGO Hate Aid. They have been targeted by a visa ban that has been put in place on the evening before Christmas, on Christmas Eve, effectively limiting the possibility to speak up and to make authorities aware of the fact that they have been sanctioned, and it's cowardly imposed in a time where public attention is really low. So Hate Aid is, and all of this because Hate Aid is one of the trusted flaggers according to the Digital Services Act. There were more people targeted, also the former Commissioner Breton that has been in office when the DSA was put in place, and also Imran Ahmed from the Center for Countering Digital Hate, and Claire Melford, CEO of the Global Disinformation Index. They have all been sanctioned by the US last year. So this is, yeah, it's good that the EU is sticking up and that it is saying we have these laws in place in order to protect fundamental rights and the democratic freedoms that we enjoy in Europe. On that note, only one more thing to say. We have our APELL conference on the 30th of June in Utrecht, and I would be very happy if you wanted to join us. Tickets are still available. They are limited, so please do sign up quickly. And we will be looking forward to having you in Utrecht. With that, I have a bit of time for questions.